There's a truth we often overlook. A silent battle that half the world fights every single day. It's not always loud, it doesn't always make the headlines, but it's real. Women wake up each morning facing expectations they never agreed to, pressures they never asked for, and limitations they never set. They are told to be strong, but not too strong, ambitious, but not intimidating, caring, but not too emotional. And despite the weight of these invisible struggles, they rise again and again. The question is, why is this struggle still untold? Why do so many incredible women push through pain in silence? And most importantly, how do we start rewriting the narrative? Today, we're going to talk about the unseen battles, the quiet sacrifices, and the strength that refuses to break. Because when we finally acknowledge the untold struggles of women, we don't just empower them, we change the world. From the moment a girl is born, expectations are placed upon her, many of them unspoken, yet deeply ingrained in the fabric of society. She is taught, sometimes subtly, sometimes explicitly, how she should behave, what she should aspire to, and where her limits lie. She must be kind but not naive, confident but not arrogant, successful but not too ambitious. These expectations follow her in every phase of life, shaping her decisions, her fears, and even her sense of self-worth. As she grows, she learns that her worth is often measured by her ability to nurture, to sacrifice, to put others before herself. If she prioritizes her career, she is questioned about when she will settle down. If she chooses family, she is asked why she didn't aim for more. If she speaks up, she risks being labeled difficult. If she stays silent, she is seen as weak. The contradiction is relentless, and no matter which path she chooses, there is always someone ready to challenge it. In the workplace, she faces an invisible battle, proving she is capable, competent, and deserving of the same respect her male counterparts receive without question. At home, she carries the weight of responsibilities that are often assumed to be hers by default. In relationships, she is expected to be both independent and dependent, strong yet submissive, yet accommodating. These silent expectations are rarely acknowledged, yet they shape the way women move through the world. They influence their choices, their confidence, and even their belief in what they are allowed to dream. Every decision is scrutinized, every action judged. The pressure to fit into these predefined roles is exhausting. And yet, despite it all, women continue to push forward, breaking barriers and redefining what is possible. Balancing strength and softness is one of the most contradictory expectations placed on women. From an early age, they are told to be resilient, to endure hardships with grace, and to stand firm in the face of adversity. Yet at the same time, they are expected to be gentle, nurturing, and accommodating. They must lead with confidence, but never intimidate. They must assert themselves, but not appear too aggressive. They must be independent, but not so much that it makes others uncomfortable. This impossible standard affects every aspect of a woman's life. In leadership roles, she must prove her authority while ensuring she doesn't come across as unlikable. A man in the same position can be assertive and decisive without question, but a woman must carefully navigate between being respected and being labeled difficult. If she is too soft, she risks being overlooked. If she is too strong, she risks being judged. In personal relationships, the expectation continues. Women are often told to be the emotional backbone, to provide support and understanding no matter the circumstances. If she prioritizes her own needs, she may be called selfish. If she chooses to be selfless, she risks losing herself in the process. She is expected to be a pillar of strength for others while ensuring she doesn't appear too independent. The message is clear. Her strengths must be balanced with submission, and her ambition must be softened by humility. The constant pressure to strike this balance is exhausting. It forces women to mold themselves into whatever version is deemed acceptable at the moment. They learn to walk a fine line, constantly adjusting and adapting to meet the conflicting expectations placed upon them. Yet, no matter how well they navigate this tightrope, criticism still finds its way to them. The emotional labor women carry is often invisible, yet it is one of the heaviest burdens they bear. It is the unspoken responsibility of managing not just their own emotions, but also the feelings, comfort, and well-being of those around them. Women are expected to be the nurturers, the peacemakers, the ones who hold families, workplaces, and relationships together. They are taught to anticipate needs before they are voiced, to provide support without being asked, and to absorb the emotions of others while keeping their own in check. In professional settings, this often means taking on additional roles that go unnoticed. Mentoring colleagues, mediating conflicts, remembering birthdays, and maintaining the office culture. Women frequently find themselves expected to be the emotional glue of a team, ensuring that everyone feels heard and supported. While these contributions are essential, they are rarely acknowledged, let alone rewarded. Instead, they become expectations rather than choices. In personal relationships, this burden intensifies. Women are expected to be the ones who listen, who empathize, who offer reassurance. They are conditioned to believe that their value lies in how well they care for others, even at the cost of their own well-being. If a partner or family member is struggling, it often falls on the woman to provide emotional stability, regardless of how she may be feeling. If she fails to do so, she risks being labeled cold or unsupportive. This constant emotional labor is exhausting, yet it is so deeply ingrained that many women perform it automatically without even realizing the toll it takes. It is the silent expectation that they must always be the strong ones for everyone else, even when no one is strong for them. From a young age, women are handed a script, an unwritten set of rules dictating how they should behave, what they should aspire to, and where their boundaries should be. These rules are rarely spoken outright, yet they shape nearly every aspect of a woman's life. Society subtly enforces them through traditions, media, and even well-intentioned advice from loved ones. Women are expected to be agreeable, to prioritize relationships over personal ambitions, and to seek validation through their roles as caregivers, partners, and supporters. The moment a woman chooses to step outside these invisible lines, she is met with resistance. If she decides to focus on her career rather than settle down, she faces judgment. If she embraces independence and refuses to conform to traditional expectations, she risks being labeled difficult, rebellious, or unfulfilled. If she sets firm boundaries, she is often accused of being selfish or cold. The message is clear: women are free to dream, but only within the limits that society has quietly set for them. This unwritten rulebook affects everything from personal choices to professional growth. In the workplace, women are often encouraged to be team players rather than leaders, to be cooperative rather than assertive. If they demand more pay, more respect, more opportunities, they are seen as pushy. In relationships, they are expected to compromise, to sacrifice, to be the ones who make things work. If they refuse to do so at their own expense, they risk being told they are too much or not enough. Breaking free from these unspoken expectations is not easy. It requires unlearning years of conditioning and rejecting the fear of judgment. It requires redefining success on one's own terms rather than through the lens of societal approval. It is a difficult path, but for many women, it is the only way to truly live on their own terms. Ambition in a woman is often met with resistance rather than encouragement. From an early age, she is taught to work hard, but not so hard that she makes others uncomfortable. She is told to dream big, but not so big that it challenges the status quo. If she expresses confidence in her abilities, she risks being seen as arrogant. If she downplays her success, she is expected to be content with less. In professional settings, women must navigate a workplace designed with unspoken biases. They have to prove their competence in ways men rarely do. When a man is assertive, he is seen as a leader. When a woman is assertive, she is often perceived as aggressive. If she demands what she deserves, whether it's a promotion, equal pay, or a seat at the table, she risks being labeled difficult or entitled. The glass ceiling may not always be visible, but it is always there, forcing women to work twice as hard for half the recognition. Beyond the workplace, ambition also affects a woman's personal life. Society often measures her success not by her achievements, but by whether she conforms to traditional roles. If she prioritizes her career, she is questioned about when she will settle down. If she chooses both career and family, she is expected to excel at both without struggle. The pressure to have it all often becomes an impossible balancing act, leaving many women feeling like they are constantly falling short. Even in friendships and relationships, ambition can be a challenge. A woman with drive and confidence may intimidate those who are used to women taking a back seat. She is sometimes forced to downplay her success to make others more comfortable. Instead of celebrating her accomplishments, she is often met with skepticism, resistance, or even outright discouragement. The pressure to be enough weighs heavily on women in every aspect of life. They are constantly measured against unrealistic standards, expected to be smart but not intimidating, beautiful but effortlessly so, successful but never at the cost of their relationships. No matter how much they achieve, there is always a voice, internal or external, whispering that they could be doing more, that they should be better, that they are still not enough. This pressure takes a toll, both mentally and physically. Women push themselves to meet expectations that are often contradictory. They strive to be the perfect partner, the perfect mother, the perfect employee, all while maintaining an image of effortless grace. The weight of these demands leads to burnout, anxiety, and self-doubt, yet society rarely acknowledges the toll it takes. Instead, women are told to keep going, to smile through exhaustion, to make it all look easy. The need to be enough is reinforced by social media, where curated images of perfection make it seem as though everyone else has figured it out. Women compare themselves to impossible standards, seeing only the highlight reels of others while struggling with their own behind-the-scenes battles. They feel the need to prove themselves constantly, whether through appearance, achievements, or the ability to do it all. Even in relationships, the pressure persists. Women are often expected to be understanding, patient, and accommodating, regardless of the effort being reciprocated. If they set boundaries, they risk being seen as difficult. If they express their needs, they are sometimes made to feel like they are asking for too much. The fear of not being enough keeps many women in situations where they constantly overextend themselves, hoping to meet expectations that were never realistic to begin with. Women's pain is often dismissed, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally as well. From an early age, they are conditioned to downplay their struggles, to endure discomfort, and to push through pain without complaint. If they speak up, they risk being seen as overly emotional or dramatic. If they stay silent, their suffering is ignored. In the medical world, studies have shown that women's pain is frequently underestimated. They are more likely to have their symptoms dismissed, their concerns minimized, or their conditions misdiagnosed. Whether it's chronic pain, reproductive health issues, or mental health struggles, women often have to fight harder just to be taken seriously. They are told it's stress, it's hormones, it's all in their heads. They are expected to tolerate pain that would never be questioned if experienced by a man. Beyond physical health, women's emotional pain is also disregarded. When a woman expresses sadness, frustration, or exhaustion, she is often met with responses that invalidate her experience. You're overreacting. It's not that bad. Just be more positive. If she is struggling in a toxic relationship or a demeaning work environment, she may be told to simply adjust, to be more patient, to accept things as they are. Society has conditioned women to believe that their pain is not important enough to demand change, even in cases of deep trauma, harassment, abuse, or discrimination. Women's voices are frequently questioned before they are believed. They are asked what they were wearing, what they said, how they contributed to the situation. Instead of being protected, they are often the ones put on trial. The dismissal of women's pain is not just an oversight, it is a reflection of a system that was never built to prioritize their experience. The cost of speaking up versus staying silent is a dilemma that women face constantly. From a young age, they are taught to be polite, agreeable, and accommodating. They are encouraged to avoid confrontation, to choose their words carefully, and to keep the peace, even when that peace comes at their own expense. But when they finally decide to speak up, whether in the workplace, in relationships, or in society at large, they often face backlash. If a woman challenges unfair treatment at work, she risks being labeled difficult or ungrateful. If she asks for a raise, she may be seen as demanding. If she calls out discrimination, she is told she is overreacting. The professional world expects women to be confident, but not too assertive, vocal, but not too aggressive. The unspoken rule is clear: step forward, but not too far. In relationships, the challenge is just as real. If a woman expresses her needs or sets firm boundaries, she may be called needy, too sensitive, or even unlovable. If she tolerates mistreatment silently, she is seen as weak. Many women find themselves in situations where they must either suppress their voice to maintain harmony or speak up and risk being misunderstood, dismissed, or even punished. The cost of staying silent is just as damaging. Over time, women who hold back their thoughts, feelings, and opinions begin to internalize the idea that their voice doesn't matter. They shrink themselves to fit into spaces that were never designed for them. They endure unfair treatment, not because they want to, but because they have seen what happens to women who refuse to. The choice between silence and speaking up is never easy, and too often, neither option feels truly safe. The pressure to be everything to everyone leaves women exhausted, yet it is an expectation so deeply ingrained that many don't even question it. They are expected to be strong but soft, ambitious but selfless, independent but nurturing. They must be caregivers, supporters, problem solvers, and emotional anchors, all while making it seem effortless. No matter how much they give, there is always more to be expected. In family life, women often carry the mental and emotional load. They are the ones who remember birthdays, plan meals, schedule doctor's appointments, and ensure that everything runs smoothly. Even when they have careers of their own, they are still expected to take on the majority of household and caregiving responsibilities. If they struggle, they are told to just manage or find a balance, as if exhaustion is simply a failure of organization rather than an unrealistic demand placed on them. In friendships and relationships, the dynamic continues. Women are expected to be the listeners, the ones who provide comfort and advice, the ones who keep connections alive. If they take time for themselves, they risk being seen as distant or selfish. If they don't, they find themselves drained, constantly pouring into others without anyone pouring into them. Even in the workplace, the expectation remains women are often assigned the invisible tasks, organizing, mediating, mentoring, on top of their actual responsibilities. They are expected to make things easier for everyone else while asking for little in return. And yet, if they ever reach a breaking point, they are questioned. Why can't they handle it? Why are they overwhelmed? The reality is that they were never meant to carry so much alone. Women are expected to give endlessly, whether it's their time, energy, emotional support, or even their dreams. The idea that a woman should always be available, always accommodating, and always putting others first is deeply rooted in society. And when she dares to prioritize herself, she is met with guilt, judgment, or resistance. From a young age, women are taught that their worth is often tied to what they can do for others. They are praised for being selfless, for sacrificing, for always showing up, even when it costs them their own well-being. If a woman chooses to set boundaries, to say no, to put her own needs first, she is often seen as cold, unkind, or even ungrateful. The expectation is that she must give and give and give without question. This constant giving takes a toll. Women find themselves depleted, stretched too thin, running on empty. They push through exhaustion, believing that rest is a luxury they can't afford. They ignore their own dreams because they have been told that their primary role is to support the dreams of others. They suppress their desires out of fear of being labeled selfish. The world has conditioned women to feel guilty for wanting more, for wanting space, rest, freedom, or even just the ability to exist without constantly being needed. And yet, no matter how much they give, it never seems to be enough. Society will always find another expectation, another demand, another reason why she should keep sacrificing. And if she doesn't, she risks being misunderstood, criticized, or rejected. The idea that a woman can belong to herself first is still seen as radical, even though it should be the most natural thing in the world. For too long, women have been expected to live within the boundaries set for them. silent expectations, impossible standards, and an endless cycle of giving without question. They have been told how to act, how to dream, how to sacrifice, and how to endure. But the truth is, these struggles are not just personal battles. They are reflections of a world that has yet to fully acknowledge the weight women carry every single day. It is not enough to simply recognize these struggles, they must be challenged. Women should not have to choose between ambition and acceptance, between strength and softness, between speaking up and being liked. Their pain should not be dismissed. Their worth should not be measured by how much they give to others, and their dreams should never require justification. The path forward begins with unlearning, with rejecting the belief that a woman's value is tied to how much she can endure. It begins with setting boundaries, demanding respect, and refusing to shrink for the comfort of others. It begins with creating a world where women do not have to fight to be heard, to be seen, and to be valued as they are. Change does not happen overnight, and the weight of centuries of expectations is not easily lifted. But every woman who refuses to conform, who speaks up, who reclaims her own story, is part of that change. The struggles may be untold, but they are not unseen, and the moment women begin to live for themselves, without guilt, without apology, is the moment the world begins to shift in the direction it should have been moving all along.